Okay, so welcome. Thank you very much for being here. I'm very happy about this invitation to present my work in another context than the art world, which is very nice sometimes, to just be surrounded by artists. So the room is made with 7 empty chairs, basically, and you attend a virtual meeting where my character, Dina, is talking to you about human reproduction in different perspectives. All the artifact that you experience in reality doesn't really talk to you unless you have put the VR experience, and then you have another completely reading of the room that you have entered first. So for me it was using virtual reality not as an escaping to another world, but really expand the real world with another layer of narration, basically. So the meeting is 3 minutes, it's a looping, so you can enter at any moment and the character that speaks to you come a little closer, and then you enjoy the meeting.
What is this theme of reproduction? How is it used in that context? What is the problem?
But actually, I'm going to let a little story. When I started 20 years ago, I read in the newspaper that the Nobel Prize people were giving their sperm freely in hope to ameliorate the human race. And I thought it was really funny. I said, wow, okay. And they call it the repository germinal choice. So I did the sperm bank on the internet as a cynical, ironic answer of this whole idea that it take only the Nobel Prize sperm to ameliorate the human race. I thought, wow. So it worked very well. People order sperm, and I made genealogical tree with 10 different sperm of famous people and make demographic studies of who they chose for which reason and all that. So it was my first experience with reproduction, and after that I decided, okay, I have to do more on this subject because it's absolutely crazy that reproduction becomes a product, therefore a selection, therefore technical reproduction, and you could go on with different analogy because it actually talk about our society, right? The way we perceive and consume life. And then I distribute sperm in a zoo because I was like, oh wow, in a confined environment where reproduction is so selective, you have, oh, thank you, I'm totally thirsty. So it was 100 semen of the same man. And then I was with a caddy of supermarket, and all the kids, actually, because it was free goodies, injection with how to inseminate yourself, they came to me. And the parents start screaming, "Was ist das?" That they were taking all the package. I thought it was funny. And then I wrote a book about, I did an animation. If the technical reproduction of life is happening, what will be the end of life? It will be as well a technical ending. And then I wrote actually another book on science fiction on actually, what if there is no more orgasm to create life? What is the difference? Is there a difference? And if you can actually reproduce life in a technical manner, there it becomes copy. There is not this slice in time where actually lots of difference can happen, right? Because if you have sex, you're never going to have exactly the same position with exactly the same time, with exactly the same orgasm to create life. But if it's just an injection with the same semen and the same ovum appearing in a very technical and reproduced environment, therefore you could have copies, right?
Okay, so the reproduction could either be technical in terms of how it is performed, but also there's the possibility of cloning. Yes. Which would reflect in a...
Cloning, and actually cloning I'm very interested too, but I'm very much more interested in this work about artificial uterus. Because for me, this whole topic comes together. You have the desire to go out the women's body to really control reproduction, like from beginning to the end, right? Then you have escaping the earth, because we're going to trash this place, or climate change, or war, whatever. So we already have lots of scenarios, how are we going to escape? So I made these images with an ovum and a sperm going the other way, around actually, and the spaceship going the other way. And then you put this thing on your head. So I was like, well, that's a sign of our time. We have this medium that just we put there. We have to escape to another reality. So that's why this meeting is not only talking about reproduction, about escaping, but it's talking about the sign that we're actually witnessing right now on the issue of reproduction and on the medium of its endless reproduction and copy of reality.
Okay, so that in the way you use VR, it doesn't have the intention of letting the users escape reality.
No.
how would you describe?
That's a hard one, but I hope that actually when you go there, when you come back to reality, you see you're obligated because you had the story and the narration to expand your view on reality.
And is this also the reason why you use theatrical-like installational room and objects?
Yes. It has to refer, the room has to refer to reality. You have to ask yourself, is it an AA meeting? Is it a political crisis? Which kind of meeting that is? When you see chair, anyway, is it going to be a speech? Is it going to be a performance happening? There's a kind of absence just by those empty chairs, right? That the room already said something. And then you see those artifacts that actually are covered. They exist, but they're covered. The same that this character is covered, right? It's a woman, but it could be a man too, we don't know. It's an idea of a human. And then you use this idea of a human in all kinds of other reproductive form of, you know, the paper, the communication, the Facebook, the images, the postcard, the flyers. And then you see this and then you refer to the story and then you refer to which kind of presence is real or not. You have those fake sculpture, right? They're dead. Then you have this virtual reality. It's another level of presence. Then when I perform in the piece, I act as the producer, that I'm live, you know, they're live, actually. And I'm telling them, okay, girls, keep on the program. You know, you tell this VR story, but don't tell this one, which is really dirty when the lady, but, you know, so you play with then another level of live, of death, and of virtual presence, and of actually reproductive image.
I think that's a really unique point of view, because it seems that there's an emerging paradigm in how we evaluate new digital spaces, and that augmented reality is more defined about control in both directions, and VR is more the perfectionism of perfect escape from world. So this is, and I've heard that yesterday and today as well, again and again, and it doesn't become truer if it's repeated. So I really appreciate that perspective. And how do you tell in VR if it's not by having the dominant artistic, I take you out of this world and put you in another? How do you tell when you're staying in this world with them? What narratives do work for you? How do you develop?
There's a very good piece yesterday. I mean, this documentary works, narrative works as well. It's just, I like this idea that you can move and be in another world, and it's, but for me, it's always then keep this idea of reproducing reality, you know, of definition. You still stay a lot in this, I don't know, you still feel you're in VR and you feel the definition and the motion. It's not an experience that I never had one that I'm like, wow, okay, that really needs this tool to give me this impression. You see?
How do you perceive your own body when you're going into VR?
That's the thing. If you don't move with the thing, you're like, oh, it makes me a little sick. You know, you sit there, it goes up and down, and like, or everything moves, then it has to be slowly. And I'm not so fan of all those things, except if you would be really moving, but which makes, you know, you need this wireless stuff and be in spaces where there is no obstacle and all that. So that's another thing. I don't know. My next project will not deal with reproduction. I think I'm really, you know, the copy, the reproduction, and all that. It was nice, but now I want to use VR as an expansion of consciousness.
How?
I want to work on lucid dreaming, because there's very easy technique to lucid dream, right? You look at your hands 5 minutes before you go to sleep for a week, and then you have lucid dreaming. That works. I tried it. But I would like to use the VR to actually expand these possibilities. And then if it works, that means that's fantastic, because you use a technological tool to experience your dream in a more lucid way. So that works for me. So the technology is not a naturifying thing that you escape or you have less capacities because you use it so much. But on the contrary, it gives you the talent of its potential.
And what kind of stories would you like to tell as an artist if they might influence the actual dreams of people?
Yeah, but that's what I would like, not to influence them as minimal as possible. Just amplified, you know, all the wave, but they made research on how to get more lucid dreaming, right? visual hypnosis and the different waves, the different earths. So just use those techniques in the most minimal manner to try to trigger more lucid dreaming potential. But then it's the dreamer who has like all the images that he has or accumulate throughout the day that comes in a more awakening manner to the person.
So you would more or less influence people to create art in their head, which is total ephemeral, could never be reproduced, and maybe not even remembered when they wake up.
No, you remember lucid dreaming. You really remember. Okay. Yes. That's the beautiful thing about it. Everything is totally clear. And you know that you're dreaming, which actually should be the thing of VR. VR, you're there, okay, you have a certain narrative. It's always this thing of, of trying to have definition. When it's in your head and you wake up and you dream, that's the best virtual reality, isn't it?
It might have a big question mark on authorship and copyright.
No. It's like, yes.
So, how do you produce in that? How is your production process? So you use like a set design. You also design objects. You write an intricate text for like a drama for several characters, and you produce VR. How does that come together?
With good friends, because like you, I suppose you heard the talk about VR production and all that. I mean, there's no economy yet, except if you're a game developer, okay, which I'm not. But game is a great thing, but if you don't do game and you're not in a publicity agency to make marketing with VR, I mean, there's not much production money. So you need good friends that have talent, and then you can exchange, your competence to. I had friends who helped me because I couldn't film myself on green screen and do everything. I mean, so he helped me and I helped him.
And how do you develop the themes artistically? So is there something that comes first, or is
always what I want to say with the thing, and I need a meeting. I need many different girls to talk about this, and with humor, with economy, that thing people understand. You extract sperm with hand jobs, and all those prostitutes becomes like not like cheap slut anymore, but they're worker, and then they get the sperm, and then they make cream to the youth product, and it becomes economy, And then you talk about, okay, it's not about anymore, how would I say? It's not a dark thing, but at the same time, it has to just be taught that we're little cells self-reproducing each other, and what's the quality of this life that is reproduced? Make it a little science fiction, but at the same time, little, condensed and humoristic and. But the question was like how I produce. I start with the text. The 3 minutes is very important. I wanted to say things in 3 minutes. And I know people have no time. They come there, they try it. So you have to be efficient, right? So the text came first, and then the idea of a meeting and this idea of talking with reality, not it being just your head, you sit and you're in another world. No, you're in this world. Therefore, this absence and this other presence in virtual reality, I wanted to play with that. And therefore, all the different traces, right? The sculpture are dead, then they're the performer alive, the VR character in this other dimension, the print on the photos, and then the VR thing with just the paper, the really cheap cardboard things, and all those different materialization of presence.
And would you like to scale that up? Or
yes, of course. I mean, I have idea of grandeur. It's always the same.
It's your stage.
But I think the subject is a little frightening. All these sperm things and economy and selling sperm. So it's just the Canada Council was interested, but I think I frightened them a little. They will come back. It's always because it's really hard to produce VR with no money. I mean, I don't know who are you producing VR, or is there anybody producing VR in here or consuming VR? No? Yes? Yes. So you try stuff and you see that, I mean, it's difficult to have good production, because it's all about creating this definition, right? So, yes, it's a challenge. But there's model. The thing is, there is model. If you go more in the Asian model side of things, companies are putting a lot of money to have artists to develop stories and product, and not product, but really residency program from Canon, from different company, and they support this development because they know that it's a winning thing for them. And companies should put way more money to have artists sitting on their, in their office and make great experience. No string attached, just to push their product,
And what about public funding? Could you imagine that this would be a strategy to develop your work further?
Yes, I would love that. But I will work on the Canada Council for the art.
Because selling semen and reproducing people might not be so interesting for Canon. But maybe. But besides from exhibitions like Tina's or festivals like this, there's very little room to present and even make your work known.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
The dream. I'm going more to the dream subject. It's less frightening. I'm just going to try to put everybody to sleep.
And is there also a distributing plan about this dream, because there's these YouTube films where they comb your hair and it makes your skin prickle. They are also pay for prickle my skin sides. Is that something we might have
presented by a company, and then you have this for free, right?
Yeah.
Like in the 50s, presented by like the toothpaste data, and then you have a show.
Yeah, and also for when you have your Lurid Dream project going on, it could be downloadable for people.
Yeah, but I was talking earlier with you actually, and a little game maybe, something that are really short and a good experience with the Dream thing. I think that could work, and then you could download this for $2-3 or something, or get it for free, and then have a little extended version. All those models, but then it becomes a small business. I mean, you need a little support to make all this happen, and the marketing, and to put it on the platform, and 10 minutes.
So
maybe we
would like to give you the chance to ask real VR artist questions, if that's interesting. And also just, it's on the second balcony in this corner of the Kühlhaus. You will find Alin's installation, Enter Me Tonight, until tomorrow evening, possible. Are there any questions, Yannick? I can't see anything.
Maybe they haven't seen the piece. That might be difficult.
Yeah.
Right? It's a little challenging. What was your last, maybe? Oh, that was the production.
Maybe I can...
Yeah.
I was wondering why because you said that... Yeah, I'm going to try to speak up a little bit. The microphone is... There we go. I was wondering why don't you work with gaming companies? Because I think in this particular medium, the virtual reality, I think everything is like, maybe coming together. Like there's art, there's we saw the porn industry, there's the gaming industry. They have interests in maybe the conceptual ideas of artists. Is there maybe connections?
You just need to have structure. I mean, I haven't heard of a gaming company. I mean, I know some people working in gaming company. I could push it, but I have to organize it to say, okay, in your structure, you need a program to devote, I don't know, 10 hours a week with 2 programmers. They need resource, and in general, they're totally overwhelmed with their own production. Then if you don't have any structure, nothing's going to be done, And that's what Canon Art Lab did so well. They provide, I think we had 3 engineers working full-time for 3 weeks on the project. We went 7 German and Canadian to Tokyo. We had the exhibition, and we had the production, and we had money, I think, a lot of money. And then gaming companies should do this, of course, but it has to be a program set in a certain structural manner.
Last question. Do you think that's the old struggle, the artist looking for money somewhere, like in advertisement, or in the sections where there is the potential of using the technology for their own needs?
Yeah.
Is it just like the old discussion we had?
I think it's always the same. I mean, the artists used to, paint portraits of kings and all that. I mean, it's the same. You have to make an association that's a win-win situation, right? And in those worlds where it's really hard, I mean, how many artists survive? It's 0.2%. of any artist that can make a living out of it. Okay, so therefore, what's all the other strategy? And when you're an artist, you have to do it all, right? You produce the product, you market it, you sell it, you do it. Like, and then if you want working with technology, I mean, it's a lot of resource to produce anything. Then therefore, you need the support of companies that actually will win, of course, and will get more clues and insight of all kinds of topics for their own game development. But do they have the, you know, the understanding that it will actually be beneficial, because they already sell a lot, right? But it's not the point. It's like they already make money, they already have a market, but they could do something different that might be more beneficial for, you know, all kinds of
I think that I wouldn't leave the politics out of it, and maybe that's, I hope it's not boring, but I really feel strongly for that, and we will repeat that this evening at 5:30 on that stage again, because it's a big mistake to leave VR or new emerging digital arts out of the art funding in Berlin, and especially the critical mass that is in the city, the independent game developers that are not corporate fixated and doesn't want to work at a big scale ego shooter, and the independent tech developers. They should be also able to access public funding for their art, and if those people are kept in town, and the performing arts scene is kept in town, and the tech developers are kept in town, then lots of interesting things will come out of it.
But yeah, but they say actually the problem is like there's not enough mass critical production that's interesting for the people to get those devices to actually consume it. So therefore, we have to go?
No, we just have the next question.
So I'm saying, why not they don't think about this, and those companies say, hey, for a little amount of money, I could have independent game developer and artists creating more content, therefore making a more mass critical, and then selling more. I mean,
the next question.
Yes.
Hi Lee, we just had an awesome brain date, so the people who don't know the format do brain dates, that's really cool, so we talked beforehand for half an hour, and you said that's really expensive to get the production process of VR for artists going. How are you virtual reality artists connected with each other to help each other with the problem of the production process? Is there like a platform? Do you know like 50 VR artists and you come together, you do the products, you have to do the development, and I know web development or app development, whatever in that kind of sense is really expensive. How are you guys organized there in the virtual reality artist scene?
Actually, that's a good question. I know there's the VR meetup that actually are in Berlin in different locations, so you could go there, but I mean, they already have their own projects, so you have to fit in, you know, it's never so easy. But then, yes, you have to exchange your time and your competence to make it happen with, you know. But there's not, I don't know of any art VR platform, you know, dedicated. It's more gaming and, you know, more, yeah. But Philippe, isn't it what he's doing? Philippe Hausmeyer? No? He has like a VR so it's more artist related. But it's an art curated exhibition. Maybe that's a good idea to have a platform for exchanging knowledge and competence. That would be very good. That will support a lot of people. That's good.
Is there a second question, maybe?
Oops. But we have no time anymore, are we?
I think someone.
4 minutes.
Not quite sure. Maybe.
Adios for the road.
We'll wrap it up, I guess. So thank you, dear Alin.
Pleasure.
Thank you for the interesting talk and the insights on how artists are dealing with VR. We'll have a short break right here. We'll be back in 20 minutes with an interesting discussion. So stay tuned and have a good pause. Thank you.
Thank you, Yannick.